Hello everyone, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault, and today we have another monster review. Sticking with the same idea here of working on turnable undead creatures, today our undead creature is the vampire! That star of film and books and comics, and everybody knows what a vampire is. And for a long time. None of this flash in the pan zombie stuff. The vampire's been around for a long time. But this is the vampire as used in the original monster manual, as was used with basic Dungeons and Dragons and advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or what's typically known as 1E. So the vampire. A lot of what's in with a vampire is very typical to what you would expect in film and screen. There's some differences, but a lot of it's going to be very recognizable. This is one advantage that you as players have in knowing what you have from film and whatnot as to whether or not it applies to this creature as well. Most of the time it does. That's helpful. So a vampire is a very rare creature that you can run into typically one at a time, but up to four at a time. And if that's the case, I would just recommend turning around and running. It'd be your smartest move. They are an armor class 1 creature, which is not that terrible, but it's very good. And they are a 8+3 hit dice creature. So that's pretty good from a hit point standpoint. And now, and to make that even better, they can regenerate. That's a real special power that they have. But it's one of many special powers that they have. They're highly intelligent. They are evil, of course. Chaotic evil, I believe. And once again, they have many of the same restrictions that a film version of Dracula or any of the vampires out there would have. And that means they have to sleep underground. They have to be in a coffin or tomb. It has to be surrounded with soil from their home burial place. I mean, just all the schmaltzy stuff. That's very important to it. A vampire always has 1876 strength. Once again, that goes along with what you see in the movies and so forth. Dracula or any of the other vampires are always very strong and able to throw people around and whatnot. There's some of that involved here as well. Like any of the undead creatures, they usually have some connection to another plane. The vampire is also firmly planted 1 foot in the negative material plane, or maybe a little bit more than 1 foot. And of course, they have a variety of powers, once again, harkening back to film. Things like being able to turn into gaseous form or into a bat. And you have to watch these in combat. They can regenerate at the rate of 3 hit points per melee round. I know, right? That's very deadly right there. Now, here's the fun part. If they strike you, not only do they do 5 to 10 points of damage, which is a pretty good whack for just, if you will, hand to hand, but, dun dun dun, you lose 2 levels. Every time they hit you, you lose 2 levels. Get to 0, guess what you become after you're buried? Fun, huh? Vampires are very, very effective. And of course, in combat, you know, that damage they do is a sign of how much strength they have. And of course, they also have lots of other fun things they can do too. They can change forms. At will, they can become gaseous form or in the shape of a bat. Sorry, no wolves here, but they have the ability to summon other creatures. Like if they're indoors or in a tomb, it may be rats. If he's in the wilderness, it could be a pack of wolves. Uh, these vampires are very, very nasty, very effective. They really have a large bag of tricks. Now, of course, being firmly planted in the negative material plane, they're immune to a lot of things: sleep, cold, charm. Um, all of these things are really going to be hold person are really going to be things that won't affect a vampire. Now they don't have any specific special magic resistance, but just having that on top of everything else they do and the ability to change form. I mean, if you bring them to 0 hit points, all that happens is they turn to gas and drift away until they can get back to their coffin where they have to spend, I think it's 12 turns or something before they come back as themselves again. Just crazy. Now, a vampire has all of the uh, weaknesses we've come to know and love from film. They don't like crosses or, within the context of the game, lawful, good, holy symbols. They don't like garlic. Um, Things that affect vampires in film, mirrors, all things they stay away from. Uh, they won't necessarily do direct damage to the vampire, but as long as you keep it between the victim and the vampire, they don't want to go past it. They're going to find another way to go around it, or they're going to use one of their minions to come and take it away from the person or try and interrupt them in some way. Uh, that's also pretty effective. They have the ability to charm people just by gazing them in the eye. If you do not make your save, and there's some adjusters on the save, I believe, depending on where you are level wise. Lower levels have more problems, higher levels, it's easier. If you go through the charm process and it charms you, it's pretty much like the movies. You kind of become its slave, if you will. Now, there are a limited number of ways a vampire can be killed within the context of the game. One of them, of course, is to expose it to sunlight. Sunlight will kill it within, I don't remember the specific time, but there's a specific amount of time that it will kill it in. I think it's just a few melee rounds. And there's also the option of holding it under running water. Um, Also from literature and so forth. And holding it under running water, I think it's 3 melee rounds, will also kill it. And then, of course, you have the old stake through the heart. Well, that doesn't kill it, but it does immobilize it. In order to kill it at that point, you have to remove the head. Typically speaking, a lot of folklore after that point, they'd still burn everything. Probably a good idea with a vampire. They are so strong, and they have so many tricks. You really want to be careful if you get into a confrontation with a vampire. And on the chart for turning undead, vampires really way up there. It's one of the top three. I think Lich is number one. I think Vampire is number two. And of course, having the ability to drain 2 energy levels if it touches you, wow, this is a dangerous critter. There's no two ways about it. Of course, you can harm a vampire, but you need to have plussed weapons. Holy water, once again, holy water is a really useful device. They take burn damage from holy water if you get it on them. Um, but of course, the smart thing to do is try to avoid a vampire. They're going to hang out, irrespective of what their living requirements are for being in a tomb and with surrounded by their own soil and whatnot. They're going to be in some deep, dark, dank dungeon, or they're going to be in some catacomb, something of that nature. And it's going to be something that aligns well with the fact that they're from a combination of the prime material plane and the negative material plane, or prime negative material plane. Gotta get that right. So, in talking to the greater Hornhelm community, I have to say that the responses on this one were pretty universal. From a DM standpoint, they said that one vampire was enough to ruin any adventuring party. And if you did more than one, you kind of had it in for the adventuring party. Of course, a modifier to that would be how strong the party is. What are the levels of the players? Higher level ones, yeah, you can probably deal with a vampire, but it's still not going to be a fun experience. That's for sure. And in talking to all the DMs, they ranked it all as a 9, 9.5. I had one tell me a 10. In talking to the players, it was pretty much the same. This was looked at as one very badass opponent, no matter being a dungeon master or a player. So if you're looking to brighten up your Halloween scenario, consider not putting in a vampire, because all you're going to do is piss off everybody and kill them all. Hey, just being real. Any case, that, my friends, is the vampire. We hope you found this interesting, entertaining, educational, all that kind of good stuff. If you did, please be so kind as to leave us a like. Consider dropping us a comment. Share with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't. But most of all, come back and see us again real soon. And remember, everybody, dwarves rock!